everyone, welcome to the channel. I wanted to talk about why I'm not afraid of a relapse. And I know that sounds like a strange concept because it's like, wait, why wouldn't you be afraid of a relapse? But I'll explain my mindset with it and why I don't think it's like such a scary thing as we initially think it is. But before I go on, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, let us know what you think. So for me, like the number one thing with the relapse is that I don't see it as a permanent life sentence, right? Because I think when we are suffering from OCD and when we are really afraid that something bad might happen, we're seeing it as this like absolute permanent, no hope, dead end situation, right? And that's not just with like having a relapse, that's even with triggers as well on a daily basis. Like the reason we don't want to be triggered is because we see it as this permanent state of complete shock and complete terror that we'll be in for almost forever, right? Because every single trigger feels like it's a risk of being stuck in that state of terror for the rest of your life, right? And with relapses as well, that's how people are viewing it. For me, that's not how I see it. I don't see it as a life sentence. I don't see it as the definitional point of my life, right? Even before when I was working on recovery, when I wasn't recovered, even then I'm not saying OCD didn't feel horrible and it wasn't something that I disliked. I obviously strongly disliked it. Nevertheless, I did not see it as the center of my life. I didn't see it as something that defined all aspects of my personality and all aspects of my day to day functioning. But if you see OCD, the presence or absence of OCD as the main evaluator of your life, then that's where you're going to place so much central emphasis on it and see it as a do or die thing, right? Whereas there's so many other aspects of your life, even while suffering from OCD, even a lot of you watching right now who suffer from OCD, there are parts of your life that you are absolutely upholding, right? Whether it's a job, relationships, marriage, kids, day to day, like other like functioning to like keeping up your house and things like that. So there's so many aspects that you're already keeping up, but one of the reasons that you're also feeling so caught up in everything is because we feel like having OCD becomes this downgrade on life, right? That downgrades literally every single thing. But we really have to see it as just one part of our life. Yes, a very strong, it feels like a very strong part, but it is just a part of our life, right? And also not seeing it as a life sentence, because if you see it as a life sentence, then that's exactly how it'll feel as well. If your perspective is that this is feeling this, going through this, makes everything worthless, then that is the perspective you're holding. So that's exactly how it will feel as well. Our perspectives translate into the feelings that we have. Our perspectives translate into the emotions and the sensations that we feel, right? And right now, for me, the reason that when I think of relapse, of course, I'm not skipping with joy with that. However, at the same time, it's not something that's paralyzing me with a lot of fear. I don't feel the need to control my life right now. I don't feel the need to calculate and be cautious of, oh, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that. Because then I would just be living a paranoid life, and that's technically not recovery at all. Because if I'm still living in paranoia of I don't want to relapse, then I would probably still be feeling a lot of anxiety on a daily basis. And I would be calculating, is this a compulsion? Is that a compulsion? Will this make me regress? Will this take me back to square one? Things like that. The other thing is that what we often highlight on the channel over here as well, that I'm also very aware of the fact that we're living at a time where the resources and the ways to move forward with OCD recovery are the best that they have been in human history, right? Because it's not something that was very well understood in previous decades or eras of the world. it's the most amount of information that we have about OCD, the most amount of awareness we have about OCD is right now, right? And so I feel lucky to be alive at this point because that means that even if I relapse, what really is the alternative for someone who relapses or has a setback? Like, think about it for a second. Let's say I relapse tomorrow, right? And I start suffering really badly with OCD again. What are my options? I can either not do anything about it, lay back, give up, and think that, well, I have relapsed, so what's the point of working on this? Because, I worked on it before, I got better, now I have relapsed, so there's no point to it, so I'm just not going to, I'm not going to do anything about it, I'm just going to lay back. That's option number one. Option number two is, I think, okay, I've gotten through it once, I'll go through it again. I used resources and I really worked on it. I changed my behaviors. I looked at my thinking. I looked at my behaviors. I looked at what my perspectives on life were, how I was viewing myself. And that's how I got better the first time. So, if those are the things I need to implement once more, then I'll do it once more. That's option number two. So, obviously, which option is better? It is option number two because you can't just lay back and think that I'm not going to do it. It's like being fired from a job two times and thinking that, oh, I got fired from two jobs that I did for like across 4 years, so I'm not going to look for another job again because I got fired twice. So what's the point? It's literally like the same analogy over here. So you really have to then also then think that so why does like relapsing feel so scary? Yes, it's going to make a lot of things inconvenient. Maybe you might be doing compulsions, you might not feel that great on a daily basis, you might also feel like it impacts your relationships, daily functioning, maybe perhaps work and things like that. But as we say with every setback, it is a learning curve as well. So if you are relapsing, or if you do relapse, it means that it's a learning curve, and it shows you that there what areas that you need to work on. What are the areas that are still perhaps weak, or maybe not still weak. Maybe that you got strong in those areas, but over time you became a little weaker on that front, which is also normal. That happens, right? I might have been, let's say, I was very confident when I was 10 years old, then I kind of lost confidence because of some things, then I got confident again when I was entering maybe my 20s. I'm not actually saying that. I mean, my confidence levels have gone up and down, but I'm not actually giving ages. I'm just giving a hypothetical example. Then some things happened which really kind of like took out my confidence a little bit again. Then I got confident again when I progressed in life and tried to adapt to the new challenges and difficulties that came my way, and so on and so forth. Right. So even right now, I will be 30 soon. Right. So I don't see that, oh, for the rest of my life I'm just going to be this constant confident person. Maybe my confidence levels might like fluctuate throughout my life based on what's happening in my life, what are the circumstances, what are the challenges I have. My, let's say, like a family member falls ill, right? Or I like lose a lot of money with something, or I develop some kind of condition or disease. I think I might like lose a little bit of self confidence in terms of my ability to deal with those challenges, in terms of my ability to carry myself forth in those situations and whatnot. But initially that will happen, then I'll adapt back to it, right? So every setback, every relapse, every trigger is can be a teaching moment for us, to have us look at what is it that we need a little bit more work on, or what is it that we have become weak on over time, right? Where we maybe kind of like just slip back slowly but surely into fear a little bit. Let's start working on that again, right? That is literally, that's literally it. So that is literally what a relapse would be. So if I relapse tomorrow, I'll take a moment, obviously not feel great. I'll take a moment to be like, okay, what is happening? I'll just reevaluate the situation and then I'll start working on things again. That's literally all there is to it. And I know, I mean, easier said than done, of course. I will be beating myself a little bit up when if it happens and things like that. But again, being in that state of feeling bad, that doesn't terrify me. It's not something I want. It's not something I like. It's not something I want to be like, oh yes, I'm going to induce a relapse. But it's also, it's if it happens, it happens, and that's, I can draw so many parallels to this. It's like not wanting to date again, thinking that, oh, I've had two breakups, so I'm not going to date a third time, or that I think of an athlete, right? They're trying to best their, I don't know, finishing time with a like race or something. They fail at beating their like best time three times. Then they're like, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to practice more because I failed three, four times. So what's the point in practicing more? No, that's that's irrational. That's nonsensical. People wouldn't progress in life if they didn't have hurdle after hurdle after hurdle after hurdle, right? Um, Again, same as any other sport where a team loses three, four matches. They're like, oh, we're not going to participate in any other further tournaments because we're a failure and this keeps happening. I don't want to feel that loss again, so I'm not going to play another match again. Take it to a single player. A player who doesn't score a goal in successive matches, even if his team wins. But if he doesn't score a goal in a lot of successive matches, he thinks that, oh, I'm not going to try anymore, or I shouldn't play, or I should quit the team because I'm a failure, and I don't want to, not score a goal again. So let's just not do it. Again, there's so many parallels that you can draw, and you can see how irrational we are being with wanting to really avoid relapse or setback and being like, no, I can't, because again, because you're seeing it as this permanent full stop on your life, but it's not, because it's just like any other hurdle or challenge that you'll come across. It'll be a teaching moment. You will take a while to take a second to reevaluate things, and then you will move forward with the same approaches, maybe even more refined. In a more refined way, you're going to be able to refine your thinking, your ways of dealing with things, even in a better fashion, the next time that you have to work on this, because you'll be a different person and you would have had a lot more time gathering like wisdom and lessons from life that you can now apply to this new relapse and setback. So think about these things. Like, I can relapse tomorrow. Like, someone can tell me that you're going to relapse tomorrow, and of course, I'll be like, really? That sucks. Like, I don't want that. But also, that's not going to affect my day to day. Like, I'll do exactly what I want to do. I'm going to do exactly how I planned it out, and that's it. I'm not going to start putting in steps like, okay, this is my strategy, this is what I have to do, I need to like properly plan this out, I need to do this. I won't calculate that. I'll take it one step at a time, just like I did before, right? I'll probably go back to the books. I'll probably read some of my old disputing exercises. I'll look at my life structure. I will look at where I'm perhaps leading into reassurance or confessing again. All those little things. I'll look at all those little pieces of the recovery journey and be like, okay, I think time to take the tools out of the box again and start working on these things again. That's all. That's all, really. So, yeah, I just wanted to do this video, like a shorter one for my track record. Just talking about why relapsing is not that scary. Not as scary as we think it is. I mean, yeah, it's bad. It's not going to feel great, but it's not something that has to paralyze you into fear right now. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. Bye.